Hi everyone, welcome to Tarot Map. I'm Kasia. In this video we are going to be talking about Chiron and most specifically about Chiron return. If you are between ages of 49 till 51, you most likely and for sure are moving or going through your Chiron return, which means that Chiron, which is like an asteroid slash comet, it has features of both, returns to its own position in your birth chart. So most of us who are going through Chiron return right now or over the last year or next year, we do have Chiron in Aries because Chiron is moving through the zodiac sign, tropical zodiac sign of Aries, and next year in 2026 it will move into the zodiac sign of Taurus, which is going to be quite interesting because it will be like a next generation of people. And as an astrologer, I kind of am expecting to see more people who are Tauruses or have Chiron in Taurus to show up. Chiron is called also a wounded healer, so it always signifies in our personal charts a place where we feel wounded, where we have been wounded, where we feel abandoned or where we abandon ourselves based on conditioning, based on the way we were treated, the way our karma plays out. And during the Chiron return at the age of, let's call it 50, we come to a point where we no longer can hide who we are, especially for people who have Chiron in Aries. But I will call anybody who knows a little bit about the astrology chart or wants to find out where their Chiron is to, go and check where your Chiron is placed in your chart. This is the sigil of Chiron. It's like a little K with a circle at the bottom, so it's like a little key to understanding ourselves. And each zodiac sign is connected to a certain wound. This is from perspective of psychological astrology, of course, and there is a key theme that this zodiac sign or a house that it's ruled by this sign kind of deals with, and this is our life's work. My first introduction into Chiron was in 2004 when I went for an astrology reading, my first ever, and I fell in love with astrology so much that since then I have been studying astrology in depth. I've been a practicing astrologer since 2014 as well, and Chiron is one of my specialities because depending on where your Chiron is placed, this is usually where, first of all, you experience certain amount of challenges. You abandon yourself, you feel, the kind of Chironic wound, like it's painful, it's suffering. It forces you to deal with it in some way, to learn more about it, to discover it. And it happens organically because this is where, you feel the pressure. This is where you kind of like rub your wound over and over again throughout your life. So I highly recommend you to either get a reading on Chiron. I offer one on my website. Some of you definitely had it. Also, if you had an astrology reading with me, life purpose readings, you will definitely had a section on Chiron. So go and rewatch it, rewatch the recording, because Chiron's story, I feel psychologically is very, very interesting, and it's very helpful, especially when we go through Chiron return that happens between this 49 and 51. It tells us a lot about what themes will re-emerge around this time. So for me, when I discovered Chiron, that was during this first astrology session when my teacher and the astrologer then, later my teacher, practiced, or she was doing research on Chiron. Chiron wasn't that famous as it is now, and it wasn't as widely used by every astrologer. But yeah, she was doing research on Chiron, and she gave me the Chiron sigil, which is like a little K on a circle. so like a key symbol. And I had to close my eyes. She led me through a little visualization because my Chiron is placed on my vocation point in the 10th house on top of my chart. She asked me to imagine that I'm in the mountains and to imagine a pathway and what I'm doing, you know. And for me, the pathway was really narrow, full of stones. It was difficult to move. I had to like move close, you know, that was my kind of imagery. So for her, it was quite interesting feedback that, yeah, when you have Chiron, it's not easy, right? It's not like a broad path. You can like venture and walk easily. Usually the placement of our Chiron in the chart suggests place of challenges, suggests a place of difficulties, especially in the first half of our life. And because it's our wounded healer, this is a place of wounding, but also a place of healing, because with Chiron, it's like rubbing the wound all the time. You never kind of get over it, but at some point, you know the wound is there, you know how to deal with it, you know how to accept it, you know how to cooperate and coexist, you know. So Chiron doesn't teach you how to practice woundology. It actually wants you to acknowledge the wounding. Sometimes it comes from conditioning, past lives, who knows, you know, but most often we can go back to our childhood because it is a wound of abandonment, it is a wound of not being seen, and depending on the sign and the house placement of where your Chiron is in the chart. I'm going to mention quickly, I've got my notes, you know, just with one keyword. So if you have Chiron in Aries, so right now you would be going through Chiron return. If you're around age of 50, you will be dealing with the wound of identity. If you have Chiron in Taurus, which is the wound of self-worth and self-love, safety, you will be dealing with these themes that reappear. And next year, Chiron will shortly move into Taurus, then return to Aries again. But yeah, there is a preview. Chiron is going to move into Taurus in 2027 for good. If you have Chiron in Gemini, you will be most probably dealing with the wound of expression or not feeling heard. If you have Chiron in Cancer, you will be dealing with the wound of nurturing or emotionally unsupported, on feeling like emotionally unsafe. Very often we deal then with deep family wounding. If you have Chiron in Leo, this is the wound of recognition and the wound of, you know, not feeling special, not feeling creative and seen. Virgos deal with wound of perfection or not being good enough ever. Libra often deals with wounding around relationships, or, you know, losing self in others, fear of rejection, people pleasing, etc. People who have Chiron in Scorpio or in the 8th house, you know, they deal with a lot of wounds around relationships as well, but they deeper, more like betrayal, loss, fear of vulnerability, fear of opening up. It's the wound around power and trust. The Sagittarians often have the wound of belief or truths. So often this is the wound around being lied to or not, like losing faith in life, in universe, you know, finding that kind of deeper truth and expanding themselves. Capricorns, they have often a wound of achievement, of what am I to do with my life, you know, feeling like they often deal with fear of failure or a lack of understanding or clear direction of what to do in life. Aquarius people have often the wound of belonging, so they feel often like outsiders. They feel like they misunderstood, they don't fit in. So there's this wound of I don't belong. And then Pisces is often the wound of separation or feeling also disconnected. So very often Pisces will have to learn to trust and actually find a way of spiritual practice that safe, has their back. For people with Chiron in Aries, which I belong to, and what's interesting, that coincides also with perimenopause and menopause. So perimenopausal women or symptoms are often said for women to be experienced roughly, it can happen earlier or later, but between 45 and 55, the age of 50, between 55 people usually, or women usually, go through the menopause initiation, and that coincides with this Chiron return process. So Chiron return, it's a very important process, I feel, and Chiron being a rainbow bridge between because it orbits or it's kind of moves between the orbits of Saturn and Uranus, crosses both of them. It's often being called a rainbow bridge, and it kind of connects the visible, the known world of Saturn and the unknown, the cosmic, the multi-conscious, the multidimensional world of Uranus. So Chiron being part comet, part asteroid, centaur, it's kind of connecting these both worlds. And in us, it also has this duality of being a wounded healer. Is a place in our chart where we find that wounding, but where we also find healing. And because Chiron doesn't transform into a six-pack guy, it's always that kind of half horse, half animal, half human, but it learns how to make the best out of it. For us, it's also a mythological kind of symbolic recognition that we will never get rid of our wound. It's more about integrating it, accepting it. And I think the older I get, the more I know about Chiron. Going through Chiron return right now, this whole year and the next year, I realized how many of these themes of my Chironic wound have re-emerged yet again. That's why I feel like it's like really like a spiral. I have dealt with many of them. I even offer Chiron readings because I befriended my Chiron, and I can see this is true for me. And yet there's still like the onion peeling, the layers, the subtle vibrational shifts that I still go through. And this Chiron return definitely, slapped me in the face again with my Chiron story. And for me, the Chiron story is very much attached to the wound of invisibility, the wound of identity. Very often with Chiron in Aries, we deep down feel like we have no right to be here, because Aries' motto is I am. And Aries heals through action. It's ruled by Mars, right? Mars is ruled by, Aries is ruled by Mars, which is often, the god that acts either through anger or through passion or through following desire. Aries is connected to enthusiasm, to passion, to desire, and to inspiration as well, right? So we, as Aries Chironic wounders, we're reconnecting with this desire. And because Aries, as I said, heals through action and through authenticity, that wounding of Chiron story often brings us back to more authenticity, to this courage of being able to express and show up as our authentic selves. So during Chiron return and, having Chiron in Aries, most of you, please let me know in the comments how you feel about it. Probably dealt with it numerous times, but during Chiron return, this is like initiation into that elderhood. It's like this perimenopause or menopause initiation into our fullest expression as women as well. But Chiron is not related just to the perimenopause. Chiron is related to anybody around age of 50 that goes through this initiation. So we are no longer able to allow ourselves to be stopped by this conditioning, by parental voices, by, for Aries, often it is like a wound of identity. So often we were too bold, too much. Very often we were not accepted by our parents. There is some sense of early wounding around this. Am I okay? Am I allowed to be here? And it's on many different levels for many different people. But Chironic story is, when you go through Chiron return, is not to hold you back anymore. We're rewriting those stories. And especially with Chiron leaving Aries soon, when it dips back into Aries, so where there is retrogradation periods of Chiron in Aries, it's really important to integrate things, because these are like review windows. This time, especially between July 2025 and January 2026. So right now, especially for people with Chiron in Aries like myself, and anybody who is around age of between 49 and 51 right now, this is a phase of this retrogradation, a phase of review and phase of integration. And the next one will be from September 2026 till April 2027, because in 2027, Chiron will move permanently into Taurus until 2033 or something. So this is for us like the last couple of years to really go through a process of healing and also become beacons for other people who come after us and will have, people who are born right now with Chiron in Aries or for the last couple of years, we will be like beacons for those people. So Chiron in Aries also speaks about courage. It speaks about a courage that is not found in battle, even though it is ruled by Mars, but this is courage that's found through self-acceptance. And this is even more courageous than anything. Like, you don't go there to fight. You learn how to be authentic, how to have clear boundaries. And then every small honest act, clear yes, clear no, becomes really the first and the next step to become your fullest, bestest version of the self. And the Chiron story asks, is it safe to be me? Is it okay to be me for Aries? So this wound around identity, brave stepping into the world, pioneering, having courage to show up, be yourself, be seen for who you are. This all belongs to this first zodiac sign, I am, right? And if I am is wounded, then there is a lot of work that we have to do to come back to ourselves. It's not about becoming a different person. It's really going back into accepting authentic self, and not doing the Libra opposition, the people pleasing to be accepted. So during this Chiron return around 50, life really invites us to reclaim this right to exist for people in Aries. A lot of, depending where your Chiron in Aries is placed in the chart, again, get a Chiron reading from me or from anybody else. Do it for yourself. Check if you know astrology. It's a really, really very important point in the chart. At least, if you have it prominent, like myself, on an angle, in an important house, in conjunction with your sun, moon, any personal planets, this is going to carry a very strong archetypal energy of wounded healer for you. If you have a Chiron in the 10th house like myself, or in the 6th house, or in the 1st house, or on angles, very often this also awakens in your life purpose a archetype of a healer, that you may have special gifts to offer society, to offer others through reclaiming and being courageous yourself. This is enough. This is already the healing for Aries people. This is leadership. This is having boundaries. This is being authentic. This is being self-assertive. This is being honest. And this is enough for other people when they watch people like this is like giving them permission to be. If they have similar wounding, the resonance and the frequency, they will resonate, they will feel it, they will be drawn, they will be inspired by it. So the healing path for people who go through Chiron return in Aries, specifically around the age between 49 and 51, it's really saying yes when your soul, your spirit kind of lights up. Aries is passionate. Aries leads by enthusiasm. Aries is a fire sign, is the inspiration. When Aries feels in the element, they can like lead people, grab you, and not like by force, just because you go, oh my God, I want to be also inspired like this, So saying yes when your soul lights up, when there is this enthusiastic part, when your spark comes up into your eyes. Saying no when your body tightens, when you feel like, oh, I don't really want to fucking do that. Say no. And we are so often discouraged from being authentic. How often do we say to children, right? Don't say this. Don't be don't be like this. She's going or he's going to feel upset if you say this and this, if you say something in an honest way. So we very often from young age discouraged from being authentic. Of course, there is a lesson for Aries in Chiron in Aries. You can be aggressive in expressing your newfound truth. There is a fine balance between saying something in courageous authenticity or saying something with like forceful aggression, which is, the other side of the story. But every honest choice brings you closer to your authentic self. So one brave yes, one honest no every day would be like your new motto. That brings self-respect to Aries, that brings self-authentic behavior. And this is action that needs to be taken, especially when we are going through menopause or perimenopause, because this is when women also we finally can feel also, Aries also rules anger and rage and frustration. And this is when we need to, through maybe a lot of blocking techniques, through society, being nice, be a nice girl. Women often feel rage around the age of 50, around this perimenopausal transition. So this is action that allows us to become more aligned with who we truly are and express some old residues of anger, old residues of frustration, and so on. We are acting out from alignment right now in our age and not from fear. And when we do that, again, this is the gift of Chiron, this is the healing of Chiron, this is Chiron in Aries gives us the wisdom and fun of courageous authenticity and being in alignment and acting from this alignment. Also, if you are perimenopausal, you like tarot, you know a little bit about tarot, I really highly want to invite you to check out my offering, Crohn's Compass. We are going to meet on 3 Sundays, November 2nd, 9th and 16th. And this is like tarot circles. We're going to work with tarot. We're going to learn deeper meanings of tarot cards from the perspective of perimenopausal women. We are going to share of our experiences and mostly work with tarot as a common language and inspire ourselves and meet the crone that resides over the transition as we are moving maybe into the maga, into the, the empress and creative force of a woman. The transition itself, I feel it's really ruled by the crone because parts of us are dying and we make space and release a lot of things for us to become anew. And when we go through this perimenopausal process, we don't know who we are. It's this kind of feeling lost / really reclaiming those authentic, deep parts of us that were often sleeping, hidden, not really accessed. So for perimenopausal women, please take a look at my offering, the Crown's Compass. For anyone who is going through Chiron return in Aries right now, get a reading from me. I have on my website the reading that's called The Wounded Healer, Your Chiron Story. I go into astrology of it and also do tarot spreads and tarot readings for you around this subject. And for anybody who wants to learn more about Chiron, there you get access to free videos on my website. And also please enjoy this information and go deeper into it, because Chiron is an amazing resource of information that really teaches us how to be deeper, fuller versions of ourselves without being perfect and without this need to be perfect, okay? Because when you go through perimenopause and menopause, you just realize that there are certain shitty fucking things that you are not going to be releasing. You have to live with them. You have to learn to live with them, and they are part of you. And this acceptance and taking those parts and going, you are mine, this gives you so much strength and power and authentic beauty that no age is fucking scary. So guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Who is going through Chiron return? Check the Crown's offering, and I speak to you soon. Bye.